Hi lovelies, it's Tori. Welcome back to another video. So today I have an exciting video. I have found some free YouTube patterns for you guys. This took so much digging because a lot of the patterns that I was finding were very sewing intensive. And if you're anything like me, I try to stick away from sewing as much as possible. I know sometimes there's just patterns where you're gonna need to sew because you're trying to achieve a certain look. But I definitely know if you're trying to prepare for a market, you know, we try to stick for patterns that are low sew and that are not going to take us so much time so that we can create X amount of that specific pattern, right? So I did take some notes for you all because there were some patterns that I came across that did kind of trip me up a little bit, or maybe they're just notes where I'm just briefly giving you guys a little bit of heads up. So I'm so excited. So let's just get right into the video. So the first pattern I have is by one of my favorite pattern designers, and she created this cute little bird. I don't know why, but I've been itching to create a flamingo. So when I seen this was one of the options to do as a bird, I had the colors already, so I immediately started crocheting, you know, because in her video, I saw it in the background and I was trying to see what colors she used or which one looks similar to mine, because I know she uses Burnett. And I'm sorry, I didn't even say the creator. This is by Annie Handmade Caraway, I believe it's pronounced, but I love her patterns. I think she's an amazing pattern designer. So yeah, she created this bird, and there is so many birds that you can create out of this one pattern, which is amazing. She said eventually she wants to create videos of all the bird designs, but for right now, I think she only covers 2 birds in that video. I can't really remember. But like I said, I saw this one in the background. Based off what she was doing in the video, I was just able to change the colors to create this flamingo because she doesn't go over this pattern. So for this cutie, I used a 6.5mm hook and I used Burnett blanket, and it came out a lot bigger than I had expected. I had no issues with this pattern whatsoever. I didn't have to adjust my bobble stitches or where my wings were. Everything worked perfect for me. And like I said, I love Annie's patterns, and I love the fact that this one base pattern you can make a variety of different birds, so that's just amazing. So like I said, she only has 2 birds in that video, but if you do want to get the whole package of birds, you will have to purchase the pattern on her Etsy. If you don't mind waiting, then you could just wait until she releases the other bird variations. But I really love this pattern. So here's a little back view of it. Here's a side view. Okay, so now let's move on to pattern number 2. So the next pattern I have is this cute little bear, and I absolutely love this bear. I think it's so cute. So the only thing about this bear is that you do have to sew on his snout, and everything else is work as you're crocheting the bear. The only thing that I wasn't a fan of was the tail. So this is the tail right here. So it's kind of this little bump popping out, and I don't know, to me it looks a little awkward. It just looks like he has a bump in his back. It doesn't look like a tail to me. I'm not sure if I did it incorrectly, but yeah, next time I do this, I'm not going to be adding the tail. I'm just going to work normally and skip that part because it's not my favorite thing. Like I said, I think it looks a little awkward. It doesn't look like a tail to me. If you guys do try out this pattern, let me know how the tail looks when you create yours, because like I said, that could just be user error, or maybe the tail just looks a little funny. But I personally like it without a tail. I don't really think it needs a tail. I have tried pushing it in a little bit, but it does still poke out. And even if it didn't have anything, because it kind of doesn't look like anything to me, I think it would still look cute, even though, you know, bears have little tails. But yeah, I really love this pattern and I will create this again. It's just such a cute little bear. It does not take a lot of your time, and I love bears, so I'm glad that I found this as a free pattern, because this is just going to be definitely something that I come back to. And I did use a 6mm hook to create this, and you can still see that he is extremely tiny even with a 6mm hook, but overall great pattern. And let's move on to pattern number 3. So the next pattern I have was a pleasant surprise to me, and it's this cute little dog. So when I came across this pattern on YouTube, like I said in the beginning, I was trying to look for patterns that were low sew and no sew, and when I saw this pattern, you know, I saw the thumbnail and I was thinking to myself like, oh, we're gonna have to sew on the ears and the tail, right? And I'm like, okay, maybe that's okay, you know, it's only 3 pieces, it's not too much sewing, because his arms and his feet are bobble stitches. So that's why I was thinking to myself, okay, like I'll include this one in the video because it's not that much sewing. And come to find out, it's a no-sew dog. So the ears and his tail, which I didn't show, is all worked into the round as you're crocheting the puppy or the dog, which was, like I said, a pleasant surprise because the title doesn't mention this as a no-sew pattern, so it's not being advertised as no-sew, right? So I was already thinking that this was gonna be, I'm gonna have to sew on these body parts. So yeah, you guys, this is a no-sew puppy, which took me by surprise because, like I said, it's advertised nowhere that you're gonna have to sew. So I really love this pattern. I used a 6mm hook for this baby. So I do have one note for this pattern. So you're gonna be working from the bottom up to create the puppy, and round 6 is where you're actually gonna put his feet bobble stitches. And so for that round, it's telling you to single crochet in the 3rd double crochet of the popcorn stitch or the bobble stitch. So I didn't do that because it also tells you to do the same thing for his arms, but like I said, I didn't do that. I just single crocheted all around for that round where you're, for the round above his bobble stitch, because that kind of confused me a little bit. And I've done bobble stitches before where the next round after the bobble stitch round, you're just single crocheting all around and you're working up to do the arms. So I'm not really sure what that's for. If there's anyone that can explain that to me, please do in the comments, because that's not the first time I've seen that in a pattern. So I'm just curious as to why some pattern designers do that. And I've kind of always ignored it and just single crocheted all around. So if you see that, do not let that confuse you. Just single crochet all around. So I just wanted to give you all that little note. I really love this puppy and I'm impressed that it's no-sew. So definitely try this one out if you think it's a cutie, which I think it is. So with that being said, let's move on to the next pattern. So my 4th pattern, I have this cute little elephant, and I believe this is by My Universe here on YouTube. So this is a no-sew pattern. The ears are, you create those separately and then you work them into the round as you're crocheting. His trunk and his tail is also created while you're crocheting your project. For his feet, those are just bobble stitches, and I really love this little cute elephant. When I finished this, I just fell in love with this. I've never created an elephant before, so I just can't get over how cute this is. So for being my first time, I really loved it and I can't get over how cute it is. Okay, so now let me get into a little bit of the notes that I have for this pattern. So I used a 6mm hook for this elephant, and for the ears, when you're crocheting them into the round, it requires 2 stitches to crochet the ears on, but I did 3 because when I did 2, they felt a little bit loose to me. So just to give me a little bit more peace of mind, I decided to attach them with 3 stitches. So that's the only thing that I changed for this pattern that I felt that was gonna work the best for me. So that's the only notes I have for this. Other than that, I really love this pattern. Definitely try it out, you guys. Yeah, not much to be said. Let's move on to the 5th pattern. Okay, so the next pattern I have are these cute little froggy ice cream sandwiches. I just think these are so fun and you can do any color for these. So to give you guys a little bit of insight into the pattern, you are going to create 3 pieces and sew them together. So you're going to create 2 pieces of your main body color. So for example, so I would have to create 2 purple pieces, and then you're going to create 1 piece of the white filling or whatever color you would like to be in the middle. And then from there, you're just going to sew them all together. And the pattern for 1 piece is the same pattern for all of the 3 pieces. And it's extremely fast. I think it's only like 2 rounds. So these work up so fast. So that kind of surprised me when I was creating this. The only note that I have is that you see how this is too close together. So you want the filling to pop out, but this was the first one I made. So when I was sewing the pieces together, I sewed it way too tight. So my only tip here is don't sew too tight because you're gonna end up with something that looks like this. And remember, you want that filling to pop out. So just don't sew too tightly. So that's actually why I created this one, because as you can see, I learned from my mistake and I got this cutie. So you don't wanna sew it on too loose where the pieces are literally, you know, you can pull them apart. You'll find that good medium of where, you know, you'll just feel your way through the project, how tightly you should do it, and just make sure you want this white filling to pop out. So I hope that's helpful for anyone who tries this cute little froggy ice cream sandwich. And I did use a 6mm hook for these. This one I made with Bernette, and this one I made with Sweet Snuggles. And there's a little bit of a size difference. I would say the brunette one is slightly bigger. Definitely in person it's more noticeable. I'm not sure if you guys can see that on the camera. But other than that, you guys, let's move on to the last pattern for today's video. Okay, so the last pattern I have are these cute little baby seals, and this is by False Bubbles here on YouTube. So for this little baby seal, I used a 6mm hook, and this is a low sew pattern. So all you have to sew on is his little nose or snout area. So the only note I have for this is to place your eyes in round 2 after you do round 10. Sometimes patterns will tell me to place the eyes in at a certain point, but I always wait till I finish a lot of the body, because sometimes when you place the eyes in way too early, at least for me, it kind of looks a little funny. So I just kind of wait till I'm near the end of my project to place the eyes in, so I can kind of see how are things looking on my project, you know. So for the snout, I sewed it on in the magic circle or the magic ring round, because I noticed in her pattern or in the video she didn't explain where to exactly sew it on. So I just kind of was able to eyeball where she placed it. So I put the eyes in first, but I didn't put the backings in because I still want to see how it would look with the snout. And then I placed the snout, and then from there I was able to tweak how everything looks. So that's my recommendation, is don't put the safety eyes in yet. Do place them in round 2 after you finish working round 10, and then place your snout between the eyes and see how it's gonna look before you sew everything on or you place the backings in, you know, just so that your project looks good, because there's been times where I sew things on and that can really change how your project looks, for the better, for the worse. So that's why sewing is so tricky, because you really have to take your time to see how everything is gonna look, because sometimes if you do it too soon, it might look a little funny. So that's my recommendation for this pattern. But other than that, I really loved it. And if you want to skip all that hassle and not have to worry about that, I made another one where I just placed a little doggy nose in replacement of the snout that you have to sew on. And I think it still looks cute. So this is completely no sew now, because I'm just using a little doggy nose as his nose. So, and I have a bunch of these laying around. I never use them, so it worked out perfectly for me for this pattern. I'm honestly probably gonna start making them this way. It's a lot faster, and I still think it looks cute. But which one do you guys think looks the cutest of the two? Or which option are you gonna try? Okay, so now we reached the end of the video, and I'm gonna pick my favorite. Okay, so I have 2 in my hand, but now I have to decide which one do I love more. Okay, I think I know which one I'm gonna pick. So here is my favorite. It's this cute little bear. I really enjoyed making this, and the reason I picked this is because I don't see a lot of bear patterns with this type of style, and I really like this pattern. And the fact that it's free, I love it. So yeah, this is my favorite. If you made it this far to the video, definitely leave an emoji. Leave an emoji of your favorite animal that you saw in today's video. So that's gonna be it for today's video, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.